Empyreal. This game has a parry, so it makes it into parry review. So this is the game giving you the parry tutorial right here. We have a neat little roguelite game. This game is fun enough that I decided to review it. So the way you parry in this game is you perform a block, and if you do a perfect block, then you parry. You're gonna notice that most enemy attacks have like an orange bar that fills up, and once it fully fills up, then the enemy performs their attack. And for most attacks, the vast majority of attacks, they come out quickly once the bar is fully filled. So what you want to do is when the orange bar above the enemy is like around 90% filled, that's when you want to block, and then you're going to successfully perfect block and perform the parry. Every time you parry, there's an automatic counterattack. It deals more damage than regular attacks. So you know that when I play this game, I'm like constantly parrying. You can also parry in all directions, so you can turn your back to the enemy's attack, and if you perfect block, you will still successfully parry and perform a counterattack. As you saw right there, when I did the parry, I launched like a projectile. That happens with all attacks, like melee attacks, range attacks. It doesn't matter what you parry, you will always do a counterattack that will hit the enemy no matter how far away he is. So really, parrying is a core mechanic in this game. I would say that parrying is even more important than attacking in this game. So on the parry metric, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10 on the parry metric. And now we have to start talking about the flaws of the game, because we're gonna get into the fun and enjoyment section of things. I know that this is a roguelite, and I know that roguelites are inherently repetitive. And by that I mean more repetitive than games that are not roguelikes. But I've already done like 6 or 7 missions so far, and it's very same-ish. Like even when I face different enemies or different bosses, the game feels the same. It always feels same-ish. And I get it, it's a roguelite, you know, that's bound to happen. But on the fun and enjoyment scale, I gotta give it a 6 out of 10. Because the game gets too repetitive too quickly. Another thing is that when you do the perfect block and then you do the counter, you do this animation and you have iframes during the full length of the animation. Enemies will still attack you while you do that, and you won't take damage, but you will miss out on being able to parry certain attacks that are just phasing through you because you're doing the parry animation. Another thing that happens is that sometimes as soon as you come out of the iframes of the parry animation, it's still too early for you to take any action, but not too early for you to take enemy damage. So sometimes the parry animation will stall you into taking damage. It's rare, but it does happen. Then there's a few enemy attacks that even though the orange bar above their heads, even though it's 100% filled, the enemy attack animation is longer than expected. And so for those kind of attacks, you just have to memorize the enemy animation. And in those cases, you cannot rely on the orange bar above the enemy's head. It's up to you to identify which attacks have or do not have this feature. You know, you just have to play the game and memorize it. So I do just have to give this game a 6 out of 10 on the fun and enjoyment scale. But the game does have a good parry, so I stand by my 7 out of 10 rating for the parry metric. But yeah, that's like the one fatal flaw that this game has, that it gets like too repetitive too quickly. And normally that's not a bad thing for a game that's a roguelite. But in this game, due to the nature of the combat, you will find yourself thinking like, you know, this kind of got repetitive. By the way, there's 2 other weapons in this game you can use, a glaive and a gun. They all have parries. But I only showcased the shield and the mace here because that's what I went with, so. But know that all weapons and character classes, they all have parries. I really do like this game, guys, and I wanted to give it a higher score, but I have to stay true to what parry reviews is about, and I have to be honest with you about what the game actually is. I heard somewhere that this studio, this is their first game, and honestly, for a first game, this is a great game. I also don't show the main hub, the headquarters where you change your armor and all that stuff. And it's not complicated choosing which armor you want and which weapon you want, but know that I'm not a fan of spending time in the character menu choosing which is the best armor, which one does more damage. I don't like wasting my time comparing percentages and all of that. I know I don't have any footage here about that, but know that that's a thing in this game, that you have to pick your loadout and which weapon you want, which armor you want, and I don't like that, but whatever. Thanks for watching, take care, and enjoy.